Okay, awesome. And welcome everyone. Greetings of the day, wherever you are. Um, I'm going to just put me on the big screen. Hello. So, you got a sneak preview there of my guest in the green room, my guest, Marlene Schmidt. And she is going to be the great guest today. She's going to talk about money management. She's a money management finance coach. And she's going to be talking to you about some superb things about how you can manage your finances better, um, which is always good if you're in business, because it's better to kind of know how to manage your money well, whether it's saving money or making the most of the money that you have. So I'm just going to be talking to Marlene in a few minutes. First of all, good morning to everyone, or greetings of the day, wherever you are. This is a show primarily for ladies in business, actually. It's for Cherry Hive Blossoming Confidence for Business Women. But the kind of issues that we talk about on this show are probably very transferable to anyone, whether you are or not in business. But the people that come on this show are people who have got some awesome skills. And they let me interview them in a nice way to encourage them to share their stories, to share their journeys of how they've got to where they are so far, but also to share tools, tips, technology, techniques, and their talent, so that we can all share in their journeys, but also learn something more importantly from what they're doing with their businesses. So I want to tell you a little story before we bring Marlene in. Probably now about 13 years ago, I was in a job, full-time job. My partner was working too. And we hit a point where we couldn't earn any more money in our work. We were working for other people, but we weren't satisfied with that. We had ambitions. We wanted to do things, and to travel the world and to live in a different country and all those kind of things. But we couldn't really. We got a mortgage. We wanted to know how we could do something about our situation. And we watched this program on TV called Pay Your Mortgage Off in 2 Years. And it was a great show. It was this American guy, I can't remember his name now, but he was an American guy who, he was a money management coach, and he took various families in the UK and he helped them to basically make the best of what they had. They were all wanting to be better, whether it was for their family or for their business or whatever it was. And it was probably the keystone, the pivotal moment that transformed our lives, Paul, my buddy, and my life, because it spurred us, it inspired us to do something different, and it was dramatically different. We watched that program and we thought, right, we're going to do this. We're going to pay it wasn't a huge mortgage, actually. It was very small, but it's about 60 grand sterling GBP. So it wasn't a whole bunch of money in terms of what most people have mortgages about. But we decided, after watching that program, we're going to do this. We're going to pay our mortgage off in 2 years, or less than 2 years, and this is going to happen. But it's not going to happen if we don't change something about what we do right now. So we both enrolled on a hypnotherapy and NLP course. We did the training. Within 3 months of finishing that training, Paul had started a full-time practice. What I mean by that is it was working part-time but earning full-time income. It was astonishing within 3 months. And I was working in a job full-time. I had a lot of commitment to stay in that job because I didn't know how well he was going to do in his business. So the thing is, I built my practice evenings and weekends alongside Paul's practice. And I gradually reduced 2 days, got to 3 days. And my employer said, look, Karen, you either go or you stay, because I can't reduce your hours any further. And I took the plunge and I jumped into full-time self-employment. And then I'd say certainly within 6 months of me graduating, 6 months to a year, I was earning the equivalent. I was earning full-time wage for a part-time time in my business. And within 2 years, we set up a training academy that had 3 training companies within that business. And needless to say, we did more than pay our mortgage off in 2 years. So it just shows you when you set your mind to doing something and you have this spurt of inspiration that says to you, look, I've got to do something and change my circumstances right now. Otherwise, this is not going to happen. You'll stay just as you are. And, I hope today that just watching this show and just seeing, and hearing Marlene talk about how she helps people to manage their finances better, to do the things, to achieve their goals that they want to achieve in their world. I just hope that you take something from this today and just implement it this weekend. In fact, today, it's Friday. Implement it today in your business, because it could be a life changer. It was such a life changer. Not only did we set up a training company, we traveled the world in 9 months. We emigrated to a new country and we're still here. So, we've done a lot right. So I'm going to bring my guest in today. Marlene lives here in Australia, on the East Coast, in Hervey Bay, and she's going to just take us through what got her to where she is today, why she does what she does, why she loves it so much, and hopefully give you some ideas, some tips and tools to something to think about to change what you're doing right now in terms of your finances. Okay, so let me bring my guest in, Marlene Schmidt. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
So tell us a bit about where you are and where you're from.
Okay, well, I started my business only about 2 years ago, but I guess the motivation for what I do now came a long way back from there. My background was in human resources management, training. I wrote training programs, coached a lot of people, delivered training programs, and I was quite happy doing that. But unfortunately, my position was made redundant. And so I had to sort of step back and have a look at, what was I going to do now? How could I help others and utilise, all those years of experience I'd had in the corporate and government sector. And I made a conscious decision that I didn't want to go and work for an employer again. I wanted to do something for myself. I guess the freedom of running your own business appealed to me. The ability to choose your own hours, and also to get that direct benefit of the reward you get when you've actually helped someone. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of that, in the corporate and government sector, you often have some brilliant initiatives that you come up with and you try to implement, but because of various management or whatever, your ideas don't come to fruition, and that can get a bit frustrating. So I guess I did a fair bit of soul searching and thought, what is it that I have that I can offer to people? And it was actually quite a revelation. It's as if the universe sort of suddenly sent me a message saying, this is what you should be doing, because I probably almost 15 years previous had been struggling with managing our family finances.
Sure.
I had that responsibility, even though my husband knew what was going on. It normally falls to one partner, one of the partnership, to do the day-to-day management of it, and that was me. And my husband was in business, and it was a seasonal business, so the income varied greatly over the year. We had 2 teenage children, we had a mortgage, credit cards, all those normal things that people have. Yeah. And I was budgeting in the traditional way, I guess you'd say, looking at our income and dividing the money up and trying to keep on top of all the bills and commitments. And I felt that we weren't making any progress, that it was sort of 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards all the time. And I couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And we had inspirations, aspirations rather, like everyone does, to pay off your mortgage, to travel, to see that the children had a good education and university if they wanted. And I couldn't see how we were going to make that happen. So I went in search of something that was better than the traditional way of budgeting, and luckily I found it. And it's spending plans, which are very different to budgets. And that really changed our lives, I can say honestly, because it put me in total control of our finances.
Awesome.
We knew where all our money was going. We knew that we had the money there when the bills came in. We set goals and started ticking them off and achieving them. It allowed us to cope with my husband's, sporadic income.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I felt a huge sense of relief that there was no more financial stress, because we knew exactly where we were at any given point in time. And so a couple of years ago, when I was considering what do I do, this sort of came to me, and I thought, I could teach others how to do this. And fortuitously, at the same time, the fellow who invented this system of budgeting, for want of a better word, he contacted me and said that he was needing to expand his business because he simply couldn't cope with the number of people that wanted to learn how to manage their money in this way. And that he had set up what's the Spending Planners Institute, and if I was interested, to inquire if I was interested in becoming a spending planner and spreading the word about this wonderful way of managing money. So it didn't take me long to sort of say, yes, this is it. This is what I need to do.
Sure.
So I went on board, and I've been in business doing that ever since. And I can honestly say that, I guarantee that it changes people's lives. And it also changed my relationship with money, so my whole mindset around money. And instead of being a slave to money, I now feel that money works for me, and it gets us the things that we want, rather than us, struggling all the time to, inevitably make more money, which doesn't really solve anything if you're not if you're not managing what you have well.
And you know what? I don't know much about your tool right now, but I know that I could have done with that tool 13 years ago, because we kind of did it the hard way. We did it through, our experiences and trial and error. And, I'm pretty certain I could have shortcut a lot of the kind of mistakes we made by learning and talking to you back then, I'm sure.
Definitely. I mean, I just wish that I'd found it sooner in life. And the unfortunate thing is that we're not taught how to manage our money. We get thrown into the big wide world as a young adult. There's all the temptations there that are thrown in our way, credit cards to make it easy to buy things and have it now. And people get themselves into so much financial strife because they just simply don't have a system to manage their finances. And it's such a shame, because financial stress actually is one of the biggest causes of relationship breakdown.
For sure.
Problems in families. There's most arguments between couples are around money. And if only people realised that there is a better way and that they can get help, it would make a huge difference. And that's what I want. I want to do. I want to empower as many people as I can with the skills to take control of their finances and start achieving their goals and
I
set
think that's
themselves
it.
up for,
Yeah.
you know, financial freedom, which is
I
what
think
I think
that's it. I
everyone
think
wants.
today we're talking about a small pocket of something that we do, which is deal with our finances. But in fact, if we think about the effect, the consequences of our finance on all aspects of our lives, the issue is huge. The issue is much bigger than this. What does our bank account statement look like, isn't it? It's about our future. It's about
Exactly.
our relationships. It's about how happy we feel because we're having to struggle to decide whether to buy this or that at the supermarket, which is not efficient. Do I buy a tin of beans at 80 cents or a tin of beans at 120? Is it really going to make that much difference to the whole bigger picture? But we'll see when we talk about you and your tools today. Can I just let you know there's some people that have tuned in today, so thanks
Oh,
Dean
lovely.
King, thanks for tuning in and liking, and Samantha Boardman, hi, hello to you too.
Samantha Boardman's one of my colleagues.
Oh, awesome. And also someone was giving you a good shout out today. So Shalini, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, Shalini's one of my clients.
She's asking about the group. I'm not sure about the link, Shalini. I'm not sure which link you're going to. But if you want to just let me know about that, I can let you know what's going on there maybe. If you're talking about Cherry Hive, you do have to be a business lady to come in there. But all you have to do is to invite yourself, and I'll look at that when I get in there. You're very welcome to come on board. And also, she says, Marlene Schmidt does fabulous mentoring. So you've got a good shout out going on already.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the tools. Let's talk about the spending plan and how that works and how people can actually benefit from that tool.
Yeah. Okay, well, traditional budgeting, I think everyone would be familiar with, and some people might cringe when I say that budgeting word because it implies sacrifice and struggle and counting every penny and, keeping all of your receipts and all that sort of thing. And traditional budgeting usually starts with income, and then you divvy up your income to cover your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas spending plans sort of turn that around, and you actually start and work out what all your expenses are. And then with the use of some very clever software that we use, that then lets you know how much money you need for income to cover those expenses. So it sort of turns things on its head. And then when you've got that information, you know exactly how much you need to earn to cover all of your expenses and also your goals, so you can build in the things that you want to achieve, like debt reduction, saving up for holidays, paying off your home, all those sorts of things are built into your spending plan. You know exactly what you need to earn. And the big aha moment, I guess, for a lot of my clients is that when we do that exercise, they actually find out that they are earning more than they're spending according to, what they've documented, but they don't know where all that money has gone, that surplus has gone.
Okay.
And that's because I guess it's human nature to spend up to the level of income that we're receiving. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I certainly did when I was working for an employer. If you get a pay rise, initially it's like, oh, yay, this is good, and you feel a little sense of relief, and you've got a bit of extra cash. But it usually only takes a few months, and you're no better off. The money just seems to disappear because we all tend to increase our spending in line with our income. So a spending plan sort of lets you know whether you're living within your means, which is really important. And if you find out that you are overspending, you then are in a position of power to choose, well, what do we sacrifice in order to bring our expenses down? And because you've documented all of your expenses and they're stored in the computer software in a plan, you can then juggle around your figures to make things balance out, and know that, yes, okay, if we sacrifice something over here, that means that we can have this holiday at the end of the year, or that means that we can pay off our home sooner. So it gives you ultimate control. And it also, the one big advantage of a spending plan is that if I can just say, we can all check our bank balance online now. On our phones, we can see how much we've got in our bank account. But just by looking at that figure doesn't really tell us that we can afford to spend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that figure, you know, it's sort of like, well, if I spend that, do I know, am I going to be hit with a bill next week and not have the money? You know, it's this uncertainty. Whereas with a spending plan, it forecasts your financial future, if you like, for up to 10 years into the future.
Wow.
So the plan actually tells you what your bank balance needs to be on any given day. And all of your expenses are into the plan and on a timeline for when they occur. So you can see the transactions, the income coming in, the expenses going out, for a forecast for the future. So on any given day, you can see what your bank balance needs to be. And if your bank balance happens to be greater than that amount, you can spend without guilt, knowing that you're still going to have that money for that bill when it comes in.
Sure.
So it's really powerful, and it sort of addresses an area where I think there's a huge gap for services like mine. I mean, there are lots of other spending planners around Australia and New Zealand and the US currently. So the institute has grown significantly over the past couple of years. And there's a big gap in the market where people are in real financial strife have access to financial counselling.
Okay.
People who've got their day-to-day money management sorted and are looking at growing their wealth, they can access financial planners or retirement investment specialists, that sort of thing. But the average person just needs the skills to be able to manage the day-to-day and start achieving their goals. And I think that's where my service comes in that gap. Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds an awesome tool and something which is automated. So once you've spent the time to put in, you know, all the things that's going in and out of your account, it seems like then it's like you say, to be able to predict up to 10 years into the future and be able to dynamically change it if things change in your work.
Exactly.
You know, if you lose your job or you have to cut your hours, or even if you get a better job, you can just simply input those figures and it kind of all does all the tricks and things for you.
That's right. And you can also play around and I guess test various scenarios, you know, so people perhaps who are thinking of starting a family and they need to drop back to one wage, they can sort of play around and see, you know, will we be able to manage on one wage? When can this happen, you know, or how soon will this debt be paid off? Because you can actually see the progress towards your goals as well. So
and be proactive and do something about it.
Exactly. Excuse me. And if there is trouble ahead in terms of, you know, an income shortfall, you can actually see that on the plan. So it's got a lovely graph that, you know, hopefully is all in the green. But if there are some little spikes into the red, you can see that well ahead of time and take preventative action to, you know, to fix that before it actually happens.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
From your coaching with people in terms of managing their finances, what are the main things that you think people get so wrong? Like what are the mistakes, the common mistakes that people make with their finances?
Probably the most common one I've seen is credit card and personal loan debt.
Okay.
So people tend to spend money before they actually have it, which is basically what you're doing if you're using a credit card.
Yes.
And they fail to see the implications of not paying. There's nothing wrong with credit cards per se if you manage to pay them out before the interest period starts. But most people don't, and they can be really difficult to get free of once you're in that situation of paying interest, because the minimum payment just won't cut it. And you end up paying interest on the interest, and it can take years to recover from that. The other big one I've found is, as I referred to before, is where people, because they're not in control of their money, they tend to spend on, I guess, little things here and there, and large amounts of money tend to disappear on the small purchases. So I think the biggest awakening people have is that they actually do have enough money, but they're just not conscious of what they're spending. And a spending plan, I guess, gives you that consciousness about where all your money's going. And it can be a bit confronting just for some people to see in black and white where, you know, where everything's going, but it also is empowering to give them then that information to make choices. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I don't tell people which bank they should be with, or you know, which home loan is the best. Each spending plan is unique to the individuals. And I think the other big thing I've noticed is for couples, in a lot of relationships, they don't actually talk about what they're trying to achieve as a partnership in a marriage or a relationship. And doing something like a spending plan together actually gets the two people on the same page.
Yes.
And they can actually see that they've got some joint goals, they've got some individual things that they want to do as individuals, and all those things catered for. And it's actually really lovely to see that, you know, sometimes for the first time, a couple are sitting down together and looking at their finances and making some joint goals. Because I think a lot of people, they have in their heads what they want out of life, and the partner has in their heads what they want, and sometimes they're not the same thing.
No, and that goes really wrong. And it is, that communication is so crucial, because and that's where you get kind of arguments and you get people separating, because if they're not aiming towards the same goal, and then secretly or even very openly the other person's going out and spending on impulsive things, things that you really don't need, or you're working well beyond your means, you just cannot afford, you know, even on credit cards, like you say, the interest rates build up. There's no way you would ever be able to get to that point where you can pay that credit card off. It must be so frustrating for the other partner to be in that kind of scenario and dealing with that.
Yes, and it's often that, I don't know whether it's opposites attract or whatever, but, you know, there's usually one of the partnership that's a spender and the other one's a bit more frugal, and it's usually the one that worries about the finances that has the job of managing the day-to-day bill payments. So, it is a case for, or a situation where it really can and does cause friction. And often that comes at the worst time in their lives, like when there's the extra pressure of perhaps having their first child, starting a family, one income drops off, and all these things come to head to combine to make things really difficult for them.
Well, already, Marlene, I was reading the My Weekly magazine this week, and big spread in there reminding us that it's Christmas, and we're only in July. excuse me, but we've got 5-6 months to go till Christmas. So why are we talking about Christmas? But this is it. Like, everyone's vying for our pennies, and people already are starting to think about Christmas and the costs of it all.
That's right. That's right. And we're bombarded every day with messages to buy. You know, there's online purchases have also, you know, make it so easy to spend. You know, back in the day when I first got married, there was no such thing as a credit card or online shopping, and we worked with cash, and there's a lot to be said for that, because you're more conscious when you're handing over. You know, you don't want to break that $50 note, or
correct. Yeah.
So it's all too easy to pay wave, and you know,
it's far too easy these days to part with your money.
That's right. It is. Yeah. And there's a lot of pressure to buy, and to I think too, for people to compete with each other for who's got the best car, the best home, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, there's
a lot of competition. So people can come see you, can't they, Marlene? And they can get some coaching on how to use the software. And do you offer ongoing support as well to help them to update and to get over those arguments with their people, with their to kind of really get them on track to manage the things as well as they can?
Yes, I certainly do. We start with, I guess, setting up their bank account structure, which is really important, so that the money is petitioned, if you like, and you know, there's certain money that is set aside for your bills, and there's another bucket of money for spending, basically. And we look at, as I referred to earlier, all of their expenses, and I guess that's probably where most of the work happens for the client, because it can be, you know, a bit of a challenge to actually identify all of the household expenses, but it's really important that that's done. And you only have to do it once. That's the key.
Yes, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And then we get everything set up in the software. I work over Zoom with all of my clients at the moment. I don't have any local clients right now. So I share the screen with them, and we get their software accounts set up. And then we go into a period of coaching and monitoring for 6 months. And or any issues that they need to work through, I'm there. I'm available via email, you know, every day. I also check in with my clients once a week and ask them to report back to me on how they're tracking against their spending plan. And then every month we have a coaching session on Zoom, and just to address how they're going, any wobbles that have come up, any fine-tuning of the plan that might be necessary. Awesome. And I've found usually after 6 months, people are, you know, fairly competent with the software to go it alone. But it's interesting. I still have my original client. My very first client is still working with me. Good. Because she likes that accountability. She likes that support. So it doesn't have to end after 6 months. I can.
You're still there for them.
Stay on inevitably if that's what they want.
Yeah, but it's certainly a skill. It's certainly a skill to learn. And like you say, we're not taught this at school. We're not taught how to. No. We're let loose from school, and you go into your first job and you think, great, and you go and blow your first wage packet. And exactly. and then you learn bad habits of, oh, I can get the money and I can spend it now ahead of time. I know I'm going to get it. I'll spend it ahead of time. And it's so easy to fall back into old habits. And it's good to have someone at hand to, like you say, be accountable to, and just on hand to say, look, I need a bit of, you know, help here. Things are not going as well as they could, or circumstances change, and
Exactly.
how do I
Yes.
now how do I change the future, because this is not going to kind of it's not going to be best fit right now for what I need. So
Yeah,
that's
and I guess
awesome.
yeah, that's the way I prefer to work, because I like to see results, and I want
Yeah.
to know that when my clients leave me, that they've got something that's going to see them in good stead for the rest of their lives. So, you
Yes,
know,
it is.
there's
Yeah.
all too often people, you know, you start something, sounds good at the outset, and you know, you start use it for a little while, and then you know you fall off the wagon. So
We all
I
do it,
don't
don't we?
I
Yeah.
don't want that happening.
We all do it, but this is a lifestyle change, isn't it, Marlene? This is not something
It
that you do.
is.
It's not something you'll dabble in. It's something that once you've learned the skills, it's a game changer. I mean, the skills I learned through trial and error 13 years ago, they've stuck with me, and I still use. I've never had a credit card. I've never had a debt other than a mortgage, and I'm really proud of that, because I know the damage. I've seen the damage that credit cards can do to people, and I had good, like you and your family. I had great skills instilled in me from my folks. They're in their 80s now, my mum and dad, and they always had. If they didn't have cash to pay for something, they went without it, and that was the kind of the meme, if you like, the discourse that got passed down to us, that says, you know, if you can't afford it, you can't have it. If you haven't got the money in
That's
the bank
right.
right now, you don't buy it. So that I'm glad of that. I'm glad of having that. But there's a lot of people that don't have that, and they need to know that they can change their life, they can change their lifestyle, but it is a long-term commitment, isn't it? It's not just a flash in the
And
pan.
that's right. And it's not difficult. You know, anyone can learn it. We're all capable of learning it.
Absolutely.
And I think the benefits far outweigh the initial effort that needs to be put in to get it up and running.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
probably the most daunting thing, isn't it, for people that are not used to technology, and or find, you know, as soon as they start seeing numbers on a spreadsheet
Yeah.
or any kind of sheet, it kind of instantly the shutters come down, and it's getting them over that barrier of, this is technology, but this is going to be really beneficial, and I'm there with you
Yes.
all the way to help you through this, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Holding their hand all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's
I guess
stunning.
the and the maintenance of your spending plan once it's up and
Yeah.
running is, you know, 10, 15 minutes a week. You know,
Yeah.
it's not,
Oh, that's easy for
and you don't
anyone.
have to track everything you spend as you do with traditional budgeting either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really is a game changer. I mean, we've paid off 2 mortgages since started using the system.
Yeah.
We took our children overseas, you know, put them through university. We've been overseas lots,
Yeah.
and we're comfortable now for, you know, our retirement coming up. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
it really is a game changer.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to put your Facebook, your business page up there on the
Yep.
links when we've done. Is there any other way you want people to contact you, or is that the best way for them to?
Business page on Facebook is the best. There's a
Yeah.
send message button there, or they can email me, Marlene at insightspendingplanners.com.
All righty. Marlene
And
Insights Fund. Yeah.
yeah, and on my phone number's on my Facebook page too, so my mobile, so they can
Awesome.
always call me that way.
All right. So you know where to get hold of Marlene to start saving those pennies and to start managing your money better, planning for your
Yeah,
future, and having a better life with your family, for sure.
that's right.
All right. Stay on the line a few seconds, Marlene. I'm just going to finish up here and then I'll come back to you. Thanks for so
Beautiful.
much for joining us today. I'm sure the insights you've brought are going to be awesome for a lot of people. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Karen.
So thanks again to Marlene. She's been a stunning guest today. She clearly knows her stuff, and she's helped a lot of people to manage their finances, get them over those initial hurdles of of getting into some good habits with your money, basically, and to live a better life, live a happier life. We all want that, right? And I can tell you, I've been testament to changing those behaviours, and so has Marlene. We've achieved great things from this. So if you're struggling with your finances, please do get in touch with Marlene. So yeah, we've had some good comments today. If you can still comment below, let us know what you thought of the show. If there's anything that came from it for you, that, you know, any insights or inspiration, that would be awesome. They will still be on there, even when the broadcast is finished. Watch the video again and learn some great things. If you are a business lady and you want to learn more tools, techniques, and technology to help you in your business, then come on over to Cherry Hive Blossoming Confidence for Business Women, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, bye for now.